Okay, so good morning, everybody. Hope you're doing well. And good afternoon. I know that around the world, we usually have many people joining us from around the world. Last year, we had 16 countries. So I'm excited to be here with you today to have this virtual Sarcoma Alliance Sarcoma Exchange. We wanted, of course, to be able to join together in person. But we know that because of the pandemic, we moved again to a virtual exchange. And we hope that this provides a really accessible way to engage, to learn, to connect. And we have a fabulous presentation, many presentations today. So as Charles said, Charles and Joseph, they are amazing meeting event planners and have helped put this all together today. So thank you so much. You'll see Charles throughout the couple of days we'll be together. So I'm Alyssa Driscoll. I'm the executive director of the Sarcoma Alliance. I've been here since 2017. Really honored to serve at the helm of the Alliance, and I have a personal connection to this rare disease. So excited to be with you for the next couple of days. So thank you for joining us. So for this part of the day, I just want to go into a little bit of background about the Sarcoma Alliance, what we do, and then also give you an overview about the Sarcoma Exchange and what you will see throughout the next 2 days. So who we really are, we were established back in 1999 by two ladies, Suzanne Leiter and Wendy Summers. So we've been in existence more than 20 years. Suzanne went about 4 years into her sarcoma diagnosis before meeting anybody else who had the same kind of diagnosis. So she said, absolutely, this is way too long to go without finding someone else who had been down this journey. And she established the Sarcoma Alliance. So together, Suzanne Leiter and Wendy Summers really helped prop up this organization and built a wonderful foundation for the future. So our mission, and we always go back to what the founder's original vision and mission was, is we are here to really strive to improve the lives of sarcoma patients and their loved ones through improved care, improved access to care, guidance, support, and education. And we really want to provide a platform for connection. And you'll see later today, we're going to have breakout sessions for everyone so that you can meet other people who have been in the sarcoma space so that you don't feel alone. The original intention was that we wanted no one to feel alone through this cancer journey. So our leadership, we have an amazing board of directors. You'll see here we have listed, and you'll hear from a number of these folks through presentations. We just had 3 actually new additions this year. Brandi Benson, Courtney Hill, and Crystal Mansfield. So welcome, welcome. Following me, you'll hear from Jennifer Nellany, who is our board president next. And we're always looking for more volunteers, so you can always reach out to us if that's something that you're interested in. So what we do, we really inform folks through a multitude of channels. You probably found us through either our newsletter, our social media platforms, or our website that is newly redesigned. Tomorrow I'll go through an overview of the website and really provide a lot of resources that you all can visit and connect with us about. We also have our support section of our programming. So you might be familiar with our assistance grants. We provide up to $1,000 to help folks receive those second opinion consultations through our sarcoma centers. And we also have a peer-to-peer referral. We work with an organization called Emmerman Angels who provide connection and mentorship for folks in the sarcoma space. And then resource navigation, we have a dedicated nurse on staff who provides probably more than 3,000 calls she fields annually to help folks get financial resources, as well as other navigation to sarcoma centers. And we provide really an opportunity to connect. You might have found us through our Facebook support group, which has more than 12,000 people online, and providing that connection throughout the journey. We have our Sarcoma Exchange, of course, which is this weekend, and we have a multitude of social media platforms, including YouTube, which we'll post the Sarcoma Exchange following this weekend on. So you can always revisit the topics and the talks that you'll see throughout. So for today, really why we host this event is many years ago, we realized that, people, because of this rare diagnosis, it can be challenging to not only find someone else who has been through the journey, but also access the information. So we fortunately have a wonderful team of sarcoma experts who have volunteered their time this weekend from all kinds of different backgrounds. And today you're going to be hearing from Dr. Gina D'Amato, yay! And she will provide an overview of Cancer and Sarcoma 101, providing that foundation. We'll also hear from Dr. Rattan at MD Anderson. He's going to discuss standard therapies and how physicians really choose what to recommend. Then Dr. Algonquit from City of Hope will then discuss NGS and targeted therapies. And then Dr. Forsher from our partner at Cedars-Sinai will discuss clinical trials and immunotherapy. After that, we'll have a break. There's a lot to cover this morning, and you'll hear, of course, from a couple of our board members after me today. So once we pick up after lunch, we'll go into soft tissue sarcoma surgery, orthopedic surgery, radiation oncology, and you'll see here that's Dr. Singh, Dr. Zuckerman, and Dr. Hakimian. So after those presentations and those talks today, we will move into virtual breakouts. And those breakouts are really between caregivers, survivors, patients who are out of treatment, and then patients who are in treatment and supporters. So more details to come about that later. And then tomorrow, we have more of a focus around pediatric soft tissue sarcoma, new treatments and research, patient advocacy, and then really around mental health, which I think is very, very important, especially now, as everyone has been through, of course, a lot through your cancer journey, but also through the pandemic. So we really want to make sure that we had a good number of sessions around that on Sunday afternoon. And then I'll walk through the website, which once again, we have redesigned to really fit your needs. And that's the outline of this weekend. So sessions are usually 20 minutes, some are longer, some are shorter, but we will have an opportunity for Q&A. I know you all love to ask questions, especially of our physicians who are volunteering their time this weekend. So feel free, write your questions in here. You can see the Q&A section. And then we'll try to do some breaks so you can, stretch and move around, get a drink of water, and then come back. And then you can also chat with your fellow attendees here. You can type and say hello. And then we also have our breakouts, of course, this afternoon, where you can meet and greet with other folks from the sarcoma space. And we do have polls as well. So I may be asking you a couple of questions throughout the weekend, and then also testing your knowledge. So we couldn't be having this event without our amazing, amazing sponsors, Broinger Ingelheim, Cedars-Sinai, City of Hope, Decipher, ASI, Epizyme, Genentech, and GSK have all provided a level of support for this weekend. So thank you, sponsors, for making this event happen. So thank you. You can always contact us anytime. Here's our phone number and our website, of course, to visit. And with that, I will introduce our next speaker, Board President Jennifer Nellany. Jennifer?
Good morning or good afternoon, everyone, depending on where you are. I just wanted to thank you, Alyssa, for introducing me. My first exposure to the Sarcoma Alliance was in the days that it was a listserv, for those of you old enough to remember what that is. My boyfriend at the time, who later became my husband, was diagnosed in 1999 at 29 with soft tissue sarcoma. We were lost and confused, and we were relieved to find a tribe of warriors that were fighting the same battle that we fought. One of my first connections actually was with Pierre Murphy, the wife of our director emeritus, Dave Murphy, who's a valuable asset to the Sarcoma Alliance. And she died shortly after I became acquainted with her, and Dave sort of stepped in as her proxy and was really helpful to us along the way. And quite frankly, I'm not sure what we would have done without the Sarcoma Alliance back there. And as Michael progressed through the stages of the disease, we found so much support, advice. Anytime there was issues with his treatment or his symptoms, I would type it into the listserv, and we would always get enthusiastic responses and people willing to help. Michael went on to live another 5 years, but he eventually succumbed to his disease in 2006 at 36. That year, we decided to hold a golf outing, Putts for Ped, in his memory, with all the benefits to support the Sarcoma Alliance. I'm proud to see how far the Sarcoma Alliance has come from the listserv days to where we are today in the interim 15 years. I'm also proud and honored to have been asked to serve on the board, and then shortly thereafter to be asked to be the president of the board. And Putts for Ped has actually raised over $100,000 for the Sarcoma Alliance over the years. This year is our 15th annual. It is on September 24th in Rancocas Golf Club in Willingboro, New Jersey. So if there's anybody on here who's local, who wants to join us, we'd be happy to have you. Or if you want to just donate to the cause, there's a drop-down button on the donate page, and there is a link on the website to the event on the events page on our shiny new website that Alyssa mentioned, something that we're all very proud of. As you know, today is a solemn day, in particularly, for some more than others, as the 20th anniversary of September 11th. I currently live in New York City, and back in 2001, I worked in downtown Manhattan, and I traveled through the World Trade Center every day to go to work from New Jersey, where I was living at the time. But 20 years ago today, I missed my train because I was late for work, and I ended up watching the horrors on television like everyone else. So it was, obviously it's a tough day for me and for lots of people, but in addition to all the people who've tragically lost their lives during that event, many survivors and responders suffer various illnesses over the interim 20 years. Including cancer, and the cancer numbers are elevated amongst the 9/11 responders, and soft tissue sarcomas are among the 9/11 related cancers. And the CDC website has more information about this, and there is a link that hopefully Kayleigh can post, because I've told Alyssa that I cannot post it. I am technologically challenged. But the World Trade Center Health Program includes responders and survivors at the World Trade Center, as well as at the Pentagon and Shanksville, Pennsylvania. So one of the there's a lot of quotes out there and a lot of information, and the one that I just keep coming back to, it's attributed to not attributed to anyone, it's unknown, but on September 10th, 20 years ago, 246 people went to sleep in preparation for their morning flights. 2,606 people went to sleep in preparation for work in the morning. 343 firefighters went to sleep in preparation for their morning shift. 60 police officers went to sleep in preparation for morning patrol. 8 paramedics went to sleep in preparation for the morning shift of saving lives. And none of them saw past 10 a.m. September 11th, 2001. In one single moment, life may never be the same. As you live and enjoy the breaths that you take today and tonight before you go to sleep in preparation for your life tomorrow, kiss the ones you love, snuggle a little tighter, and never take 1 second of your life for granted. And I think that's sort of something that we should all think about as we remember the 9/11 survivors today and all of us. But let's take a second, a moment of silence for all of the people who lost their lives from 9/11 and from the fallout afterwards. Okay, thanks everyone. So today we're here, as Alyssa said, we're here to sort of gather around and help support each other. And we're grateful to all of the volunteers, as Alyssa said, and I'm grateful to my fellow board members and to Charles and Joseph, who have all worked so hard to make this a great presentation. Unfortunately, it's virtually this year, but hopefully next year we can get back in person because we all understand how valuable it is, and we tried really hard, but it's definitely in the best interest of everybody in this community. So I'd like to introduce now one of my fellow board members, Brandi Benson, who is a sarcoma survivor. She is one of the newest board members, as Alyssa mentioned, and she is a combat veteran who served in Iraq. Thank you, Brandi, for your service and for your general awesomeness. So let me introduce, with pleasure, Brandi Benson.
Thank you so much. So first, I want to say thank you again, Charles, Jennifer, everybody, Alyssa, all the board members, our sponsors. Thank you so much for having me, for creating this event. I'm so honored to be here to speak to you all and everybody. I just feel like this is a huge community and a very loving family that I'm so honored and happy to be a part of. So thank you so much for that. And then if we have any technical difficulties, please allow us some time to get that squared away and fix that. So now that we got all that out the way. Okay, so what will I be talking to you guys all about today is I want to talk briefly about my story about having Ewing sarcoma cancer, how I discovered it, what were some of my symptoms, and then how I've been able to use my disadvantages that I saw years ago and make it work to my advantage now in the future, in the present time. So I am Brandi Benson. I am Ewing sarcoma cancer survivor. I'm an Iraqi combat war veteran. I'm an entrepreneur. I am an author, recent board member of the Sarcoma Alliance. Lots of things, different hats that I do. But my favorite thing right now, and definitely probably for the rest of my life, is just spreading awareness about sarcoma cancer and the importance of early detection, and also having a second opinion. So that's kind of what I've created my platform on for the last 10 years, I'll probably say. So my story starts in 2008. In 2008, I was 24 years old, and I had decided that I wanted to join the U.S. Army because I thought that'd be something so amazing. And I had kind of, dreamt of this life of what I wanted to do. I wanted to be a soldier. I wanted to defend my country. And I also wanted to play on the all-Army team for soccer. So I'd made it on the team, and all these great things were happening, and life was kind of just starting. And I was really excited about being in a military, being a soldier, just doing what my dreams were. I was finally going to be accomplishing and living out the dreams that I've been dreaming about my entire life as a young girl. So after basic training, after AIT, I go straight to Iraq. So right after all of my training, I was in the military for about 6 months, and now I'm getting shoved into war. So I felt like I was very unprepared. I now have to put all of my training to actual tactical experience. So I've just learned how to shoot a grenade, how to manhandle a M16, all these amazing weapons. But now I have to really do this. So it was a little nervous, a little nerve-wracking. Wasn't sure if I was going to be really ready to be in war, so to speak. So I get to Iraq, and I start noticing while I'm there that I'm having like extreme fatigue. I'm really tired. I'm really exhausted. And I kind of just attribute it to being overseas. I'm away from my family. I'm 24 years old. I'm in the middle of a war zone. It's during December timeframe, so maybe I'm missing my family. It's the holidays. So I'm just really exhausted. I'm thinking, okay, this is why all of this is happening to me. So I kind of just shrug it off for a little while. And then in January 2009, I was working out really hard, and I discovered a lump on my leg. And I didn't think anything of it because I was in the best shape of my life. I'm running with the guys. They got my back. I got their back. We're in war together. I have a six-pack. Like, I am running miles. I'm just doing so great and so well. And I never thought that this lump on my leg was anything detrimental because I felt physically fine. And I thought that people who got cancer were much older and they had bad habits and they weren't healthy. And I wasn't any of those things, let alone I didn't know you could get cancer in your leg. I didn't know that was something possible. So that never crossed my mind, ever. So I am kind of just going along with life. And I have a couple of friends who reach out to me while I'm, deployed, some of my soldiers, and they kind of urge me to get my lump checked out. So I immediately go get it checked out. My medical team they kind of knew that something was wrong. So they kind of were ushering me along different places. Finally get to Baghdad, where I have to get a CT scan. Then they send me to Germany, where I have to get an MRI. And then Germany tells me that it's a tumor. And I had never heard of a tumor before. I never knew anybody with the tumor. I didn't know you could get tumors in your leg. I just didn't know anything. So I really didn't understand what I was facing until I went on YouTube, until I went online, and I started doing research about all of this stuff. And then I find out the types of tumor that I could have. I could have a Ewing sarcoma tumor or a nerve sheath tumor. And all of these tumors were very bad. They were very deadly. Both of them were going to be amputating my leg. One of them was going to spread to my brain, my spinal cord, my lungs, and that was the sarcoma. The other one was going to be, they could cut it off my leg basically, and I would be able to live according to what the statistics were saying. So what I was hoping for, I was really hoping that I had the nerve sheath tumor, and that was just what I wanted instead, because the other one sounded extremely scary, and the rates of living and the statistics and everything just weren't very high. So mind you, I'm in the military, and my whole entire goal in the military is to, of course, defend my country, be there for my country, but I also want to play soccer. But now I'm being told that I'm going to lose my leg and that I'm going to die. I'm only 24 years old. I'm in the middle of another country. My mother's not there. My family's not there. And I remember the doctor sitting me down and asking me if I was going to be okay and don't get lost in the system. I had no clue what that meant. I didn't know what he was talking about. I just didn't know what was really happening. I remember tears streaming down my face, being extremely scared, me very, very sad and upset about what was going on with me, because I felt like I had done something wrong. Or did I do something wrong? Why was this happening to me? How did I miss all of the signs of having this cancer? Why didn't I know about it? It just didn't make any sense. So I finally get to Walter Reed Medical Center, and that's where I would spend my duration of my time in the hospital. I did about 101 rounds of chemotherapy in less than a year. I had to learn how to walk again. I had to have my adductor muscle removed from my leg. I watched 13 of my friends pass away and die. It was just so hard to go through this. And I kind of felt like I was alone. Nobody really had the cancer that I had. I didn't know who to talk to. I didn't know anything. I didn't know much where to look. I just didn't know. But what I did learn while I was going through all of this was I kind of had like a set plan. I wanted to retire in the military. I wanted to play soccer for my country. I wanted to stay in the military. And all of these things kind of got derailed. None of it ended up happening. But what ended up manifesting out of this trauma and out of this, all of this pain was something that I would have never really, really would have imagined. While I was in the hospital, I ended up keeping a journal because the doctors thought I was going to pass away. And I was just so upset about that. So I had this journal, and it was dedicated to my nephew at the time. And it was just what was going on, what was happening with each other, what was happening, what the conversations were. And I just wanted to leave something tangible to him in the event that I died. And one day, I don't know exactly when it was, but I decided that I wasn't going to give up on myself. I know the doctors really don't think that I'm going to be living. I know the statistics say that the cancer is going to be returning and it's going to spread all over my body, but I'm not going to give up on myself. In fact, if I get to live, I'm going to have this journal and create a book someday. So that was kind of like my motivation to live and to push on and really to believe in myself. And as time went on, in 2013, I ended up getting medically retired because I was no longer a soldier. I was beat down. I was tired. I didn't have a proper left leg anymore. And I felt like I was a hindrance. So I decided to get out. So I ended up opening a company called Resume Advantage, which is geared towards veterans who are getting out of the military. So maybe I wasn't able to stay in the military and retire, but now I'm able to help individuals. I was able to take my book, my journal, that was a journal at the time, and create an actual book. It's called The Enemy Inside Me. I've been able to use my story and use this as my platform to spread awareness about early detection and second opinions and what Ewing sarcoma and sarcoma cancer is. So I didn't exactly have the route that I wanted, because I wanted to go from A, B, C, D, all the way to Z. But I think it's important to know that life is going to throw us so many curveballs, and life is going to be unfair sometimes, and there's going to be adversities. But when things are happening, you can still take those moments of disadvantages and make them work for you, like I did. It's very possible. So don't count yourself out. Don't give up on yourself, and don't cut your dreams short because things aren't working out or panning out the exact same way that you want it to, because there's still an avenue, there's still a way, and there's so much that you can learn from that will help you encompass your resiliency. And I just want to leave that all with you, that it's important to believe in yourself and to never give up. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Brandi. And we have time for some questions. You can type your questions in the Q&A box that you'll see on your screen, and Brandi will take a few questions if we have any. Questions for any of us?
Yes, questions. I would love to answer some questions.
I'm just going to interrupt and say you made me cry.
Oh,
but you're a star, Brandi, and we're so grateful to have you as part of the team. We really are.
I'm so happy to be here. It's so great. I know I'm trying to make sure, I know we have our time slots and I don't want to go over, so just grateful. Things are great. Life is amazing. It really is. I think it's just so important that people know that there's still life after cancer, that life isn't over just because you have cancer. Yes, maybe the old individual that you used to be is gone, but you get to reinvent yourself. A lot of people don't get to go to the past and fix things. You get to actually make a new person, a new journey, a new lifestyle. That's amazing. A lot of people don't get that.
And Brandi, there's a question from Donna in the chat. I'm not sure if you can see it, but the question is, did it pop up on your screen? If not, I can read it for you.
Let me see. Donna. Did sarcoma metastasize your word? Okay. So my cancer did not metastasize. It stayed in the localized area. It didn't spread to the bones. It didn't go anywhere. So I was very fortunate. And I discovered my cancer, I believe it was 1B. That was the stage. So it was very, very early, but it was massive. It was huge. Just the size of like a grapefruit when it started out. and it just kept growing and kept growing, kept growing. Yeah, and I was able to get it taken care of really, really fast. I was at Walter Reed Medical Center, and they did an exceptional job at my care. They did a great job. I had 7 surgeries. I had psychotherapy, lots of mental health help. Just, they did a fantastic job for me.
Also in the Q&A, it says from Anna, thank you for sharing your incredible story. I'm in the middle of chemo and you are giving me hope. God bless you. Thank you, Anna, for your comment. And then Kirk is asking, how does a patient find a second opinion resource? So that's a great question, Kirk. You can visit our website, sarcomaalliance.org, and we have about more than 100 sarcoma centers that are listed there that you can coordinate, and there's information there on how to contact them, and you can work with them to find a sarcoma expert. And then for our grant application, you can fill that out online to then be reimbursed up to $1,000 for expenses. So great question. Thank you, Kirk. Any other questions, anybody?
I see one from Doug. Has your activity level been affected since the surgeries?
I'm sorry, say it again. I don't see that one.
Has your activity level been affected since the surgeries? It just popped up.
Yes, definitely. So I have a huge chunk missing out of my leg, out of my left leg. So I'm not able to run, jump, do any of those physical activities like I used to, because I don't have that muscle there anymore. When I actually walk or turn a corner, my left leg swings out. So there's nothing like holding it for stability. So it's very weak. I can't do any of the physical activities that I used to do. And that's why it was so hard for me to get medically retired from the military, because that was not a plan of mine. I wanted to be in there 20 years, but I knew that my leg could not take I didn't have the endurance for my body and any longer to do that. So I had to get out.
Brandi, there's another question in the chat from someone who is asking, how did you decide to choose surgery versus amputation?
Yes. Okay. So this is good. I begged them to not amputate my leg because I didn't know the extent of the surgery. They just told me they were going to take out the tumor. They didn't say they were taking out my entire adductor muscle, which left with, a huge deficit in my leg. So I definitely wanted the surgery versus having an amputation, because I thought I was going to be able to go back and play soccer. I thought I was going to be back to my normal self. I had no idea that I was going to be, disabled permanently. I just didn't know. So, and it also, it was a safer procedure, and my margins were clean as well. So it wasn't really up to me. It was up to the doctors. I just begged and they said they would do their best. They told me that. So I literally went to sleep, went under anesthesia, told them I would like to keep my leg. When I woke up, I wasn't sure if it was there or not. I remember I had a nerve blocker on, and I was, trying to move my leg around, and I couldn't feel anything. So I thought it was gone. And then I moved the sheet over and I could see my toe, and I was like, okay, I still have a leg. So it was really up to them though.
Question, how long were you on chemotherapy?
Okay.
And which chemo were you on?
I don't know all of the different chemos. I was on 6 different chemotherapies, and I started from February 4th all the way to November 11th, both from 2009. And I did 5 days on, 8 days off, 5 days on, 8 days off. And I continued that the entire duration. I believe I had 3 weeks off for my surgery because my body had to recuperate, and my immune system was so suppressed that it wasn't able to heal itself while I was on treatment.
And, obviously, we have various audience members. We have some patients that have, potentially curable sarcomas and it not spread. And so you give hope to those patients. And we also have many patients on here that it has spread. And we want to spread hope to those patients as well. And that's what a lot of our lectures today will be about. How do we treat patients if it has spread? And so we're hoping to provide hope for everyone out there, patients that hasn't spread. And then for those who it has spread, that there's all these new treatments out there and how we can keep people alive with their cancer. And you will have the opportunity in the breakout sessions to be able to meet other patients in your same boat, whether you're a sarcoma survivor and you've gone through all your treatment and you're waiting for your scan results to be able to see, has it come back? And then we'll have other groups of patients where they're currently actively on treatment and trying to get their cancer under control. So your story was so hopeful for everybody. So really, thank you. And we want to keep the optimism alive and for all the patients and their loved ones. So thank you for that.
Yeah, I mean, with Michael's cancer, my husband's cancer spread and metastasized during his radiation. So that was unusual. It metastasized to his lungs. So he unexpectedly had to do chemo. And, he had a pretty grim diagnosis and he lived for 5 more years. And you might say, well, gee, 5 more years. And he did a lot in 5 years. We got married. We went to the Super Bowl. We did a lot of great things. He got 5 more years. And sometimes that's the best that people can hope for. So it's always good to be optimistic. And I'm sure some of the doctors will talk about the psychology of this. And it's always good to be optimistic, even in the face of a grim diagnosis. And there's always something to be said about just continuing to try to be positive, even if there's very little to be positive about. So every story here, as you'll see, is unique. And everybody's experience is unique. And in fact, the uniqueness of everyone's cancer is one of the things that bonds everybody here.
And thank you also, both of you guys made me cry, which I have to go up next. So that's thank you and not thank you.
And then there was one more comment from Lisa to Brandi. She says, thank you for sharing your story. My daughter is currently going through treatment for synovial sarcoma. Your story is so positive and gives me hope. You're a very strong woman. So thank you, Lisa, for your comment. Yes, and everybody's crying this morning.
Everyone's story is different. So, I'm somebody that sees things, the cup is always full. I'm not somebody who's a pessimistic, and I understand what the reality of cancer is and how grim it can be, of course, but I'm on here to spread happiness and hope and optimism, not the other thing that people are already experiencing.
Brandi, thank you so much. It's just always wonderful to hear your story, and and Jennifer, thank you as well.